With the host of The View still up to no good on ABC via the Walt Disney Company while live on the air and behind the scenes, we already know that those like Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar continue to cross the line politically speaking, and in turn, they're bleeding fans left and right. They're losing fans at a very rapid rate, which is exactly why ABC feels like they're walking on eggshells with the host of The View because of how complex their contract really is. We'll talk more about that down the road as well. But what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with recent drama that took place in front of the ABC studio that's responsible for taping The View and airing this program. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about the host of The View that we all know too much about is the fact that yes, they are very overly political, while at the same exact time you have Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro absolutely denying that there are any political agendas on The View or Jimmy Kimmel Live, which is just utterly ridiculous of a thing to say. That's obviously some form of gaslighting coming from Josh, but one thing is for certain about this, is that we already know that The View's ratings have been going down at a very rapid rate. And the only way that they are able to get their ratings to actually have a little bit of a spike is when they get involved in something very exclusive that's very much drama-driven. We'll talk more about that as well, but for the most part, on the average, it's very much a downward spiral for ABC. Now, what's interesting about all of this, though, is that with the hosts of The View like Sunny, Whoopi, and Joy still to this day losing tons of fans after they crossed the line too far with politics, one major development going on now involves more to do with the hosts and what they had recently did after one of the tapings of The View, where they were signing autographs. Now, it turns out that Sunny, Whoopi, and Joy were recently confronted by a large vocal crowd asking the hosts direct questions about why they lie on the air of their program and why they push propaganda. Once these questions were asked by a certain audience member, specifically, Sunny Hostin started to call for security out loud to quiet down the noise, where she herself started shouting, "Stop asking me such irrelevant questions that hold no validity to them. Enough, get out of here." While Whoopi Goldberg also called over security to put an end to what they called as hecklers, where Whoopi shouted, "We don't need distractions today, like we aren't putting up with questions that have no real facts behind them. So back off, people, just back off." After Whoopi shouted that out is when she called over her own security, where both Sunny and Whoopi's bodyguards and ABC security combined started to force the crowd to move to a different location on the street, away from the hosts. In addition to this, get this, Joy Behar also started an entire scene where she also called over security, where the same loud crowd kept asking Joy Behar why she lies for a living on ABC, and why she protects and defends Jimmy Kimmel of Jimmy Kimmel Live, where Joy Behar then shouted, "You're MAGA, nothing more, just MAGA supporters. I have nothing to explain to you, any of you." Now guys, let me just stop right there. Now, it's funny how Joy Behar always just resorts to somebody being MAGA or a Trump supporter if they just want to put you on the spot or expose you or just, tell it like it is, or just asking a real legitimate question. This one in particular was asking Joy Behar why she likes to lie for a living on ABC, and that seemingly struck a nerve within Joy Behar. It seemingly struck a nerve within the rest of the hosts of The View, to the point where they had to call over their own security, and ABC security also got involved. And again, this is exactly why I keep saying that The View is both a disaster on air and behind the scenes. And when you combine those two, you can only wonder why ABC executives feel like they're walking on eggshells, why they feel like they're in a very delicate position right now. Now, I think what the obvious, productive thing that they could do right now is to just fire the hosts, cancel this entire program, Stephen Colbert the whole thing, take it off the air, strip it off your roster, and put something new on there, or put some kind of reruns on there. Anything is better than The View at this point. Now, with Joy Behar, she also called over ABC security and her own bodyguard to escort her to her own SUV vehicle. This is when the entire scene got worse, where the hosts that were called out and called security on the crowd were getting heckled by other members in the crowd, waiting for autographs or interviews, where they started shouting, "Was that really necessary? This is public property, you know?" It got so serious to the point where their own fans were begging for autographs on a series of books and magazine covers, where the hosts refused and gave them the hand before putting on their black sunglasses before stepping into their SUVs to take off from the drama that they themselves started to begin with. In addition to that, the hosts also announced plans at the spot before the drama started that they are planning to write books themselves on their experience during Trumpism, which was the starting point of the drama and what set off many of the audience members in the crowd, where they once again got political, even while off the air. Now, I don't know about you guys, but let me just say one thing about that. The fact that they have plans to write books about their experience in the media as media personalities during quote-unquote Trumpism, that just reeks of desperation, it reeks of attention-seeking, and it really is probably the biggest shred of proof that they really do feel irrelevant on The View right now, because they're losing fans, they're losing ratings, it's going down, and basically they're looking for another outlet right now. This is exactly why, by the way, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, they are now dabbling in comedy once again. They want to bring comedy on The View, they want to do stand-up separately from The View, and it's just not working well in their favor with the studio executives and the studio heads, right? The bigwigs that run all of ABC. Now, which proves their politics are indeed very personal, rather than just a studio decision talking point. Already ABC executives are panicking about the noise that was created on the NYC streets in front of the ABC studio responsible for airing and taping The View. This is when the hosts also decided to cancel more meet and greets in front of the studio that left many of their fans furious, feeling betrayed. So, I mean, there you have it again. The fact that you have the hosts of The View really just starting things off by announcing books that they're going to write, books that they're going to actually publish about their experience during Trumpism within his second term as a media personality is just absolutely reaching at this point. Who in the world would even buy a book like that is beyond me, but I'm sure that there are 10 people out there that would actually be willing to actually do such a thing, to purchase a book like that. But I digress. Focusing on this is probably like the third incident, if you guys have been paying attention. The third incident, give or take, my number may be off, where they decided to call security on the audience and to get them to go into a different position away from themselves. And you know what? People were right. It's public property. You can't do that necessarily on the streets of New York City. And that really was something that, you know, ticked off a lot of other people that actually amped up the drama once they got security to essentially escort some of those that were just asking questions, right? Direct, real questions. People asking them why they like to lie on air, why they like to push propaganda, all these other things. And it always seemingly, like I always say, it really does seemingly, you know, kind of tick them off to a point where they have to get very defensive and aggressive and get in their face and just call them MAGA and Trump supporters. Very exhausting. But overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about The View right now and just how worse it is getting on a monthly basis and everything else in between. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.